Hello, my name's Brent Woolard. I've been working on a list of things that are very important to anyone that takes the camera out in public. These are people tend to get paranoid when you're walking around with the camera. It's like, oh no, what's he going to do with that evil, destructive piece? This doesn't just apply. This does not just apply to auditors, constitutional auditors, or whatever you want to call it yourself. This applies to anybody that's walking around out in public, and especially if you're using that camera for a living, or you're a YouTuber that does a lot of or other source that does a lot of outside videos. You need to know these things so that you don't go stray with the law. These things that I'm going to cover with you are very important because here's the thing. You have a lot of rights, but you don't have any if you don't know them. The police aren't going to tell you, and they will easily violate them. If you know your rights, like I know my rights, and I know the laws. I've watched the police shows on TV like A&E's police. What is it? Live police or live something. Uh, and these policemen don't know any better. Maybe they do know better. I don't know, but I would rather think that they don't know better. But I've seen them illegally search people, reach into their pockets, and the people don't know that they're not allowed to do that. They have to be under arrest for a crime, or that policeman, if he's just doing an initial search, you're not under arrest. They have the right to pat you down for their safety. Now, if they feel what they know is a weapon in your pocket, then they can go in there. But if they just feel something in your pocket, it's conjecture that what it might be. If they don't know it's a weapon, they're absolutely not allowed to stick their hand in your pocket or up in your clothing. It's against the law. It's against your rights. It's a Fourth Amendment right violation. Now, we're not going to get into those today. We're going to get into the things that I'm going to give you a list of things that you will have to look up on your own for the state, county, and city that you will be filming in. Okay? And everything that I give you is important to look up, and you'll need to look them up and understand them. Now, if you've got an extra tablet that you can use as a notebook, as you're looking those up on there, you can form a notebook where you can put those in whatever order you want them in for a quick reference. And then if you have that close by, or you can find a way to carry it on you, and you have to deal with the police because they're up there in your grill because you've got that evil camera. Oh, this is going to hurt someone. Oh, oh, then you'll know, you'll know the laws, you'll know the policies, you'll know the acts, you'll know that what you're doing is legal, what they're doing is not legal. You really need to know these things because police are not the ultimate authority. The laws are. The laws that give you your rights are the ultimate authority. And if you don't know those rights, you don't have any rights. Because I guarantee you, it takes a lawyer years to know the laws and know your rights, learn the laws and learn the rights so that they can defend them for you in court when that day comes. And if you're outside with the camera, that day's eventually going to come. You might not think so, but it will come. It will happen. And if you don't know what to say or do, then you may very quickly have a criminal charge put on you that you won't be able to defend because you didn't know what the police were doing was wrong. You might say, oh, I'm just going to plead guilty to this needlessly. Needlessly. You need to know your rights. You need to know the laws. So let's get started. I've got a list here of things. Like I said, you'll have to look these up because these are going to be for your area. All right. You want to look up county ordinances, city ordinances where you will be filming. Okay. You want to look up state, county, city. State, county, city, police policies. Because you don't know if you're going to run into a state policeman, county policeman, or city policeman. So, like, say I'm in Anderson, Indiana, which is Madison County. So I need to know the policies for the State Police of Indiana. I need to know the policies for the Madison County Police, and I need to know the policies for the Anderson Police. Now, if I'm going to be getting out on the edges, it would be very helpful for me to know Chesterfield and Daleville, because they're right on the edge. It would be very helpful for me to know Middletown. It would be very helpful for me to know Edgewood, because they have their own police department. They are inside of city limits. They are a town inside of Anderson. And there's actually 3, but only one of them has a police department, but they're important. It would also be helpful for me to know the policies of Alexandria, even though they're not real close. They do occasionally come into Anderson for something, so that wouldn't hurt. So the police in your area, it's real important to know their policy, because sometimes when they come up and they're needlessly messing with you because they don't understand something, it's nice to know their policy of when you say, "Officer, can I get your name and badge number?" Well, if they say no, then if it's their police department's policy for them to tell you, then you can say, "Well, officer, that's a violation of your policy number," and give them the number, because you know that number, or you can look it up on your tablet real quick, and ask them, why are you violating your own policy? And it's real important that you know who you're dealing with, and here's something else that's important, and I'll probably stress this several times throughout here. You have a right to yell and cuss at the police. They have to take it. It's your First Amendment right. You don't have that right to cuss at them in a threatening manner, like, "I'm going to effing kick you." So, that's a charge right there. But if you're just like, "F you, you stupid, this is SOB," they have to take that. It's not impressive. You want to be filming everything you're doing, your interaction with the police. You want to be filming that. And you want to try and stay as calm as you can, because if you go into court and you're telling that policeman your rights, and you're naming off the penal codes, because you got them nearby or you got them in your head, and you're nice and calm, that judge will be impressed. If you're out there yelling at the cops, I see a lot of auditors do it. That's their style. I'm not going to say it's right or wrong, but I'm going to tell you this much for sure. As I've watched these court cases of the people with cameras that won, most of them were calm on their film. Most of them laid it out in a nice fashion with the laws. And the judge would say to the policeman, to the prosecutor, he'd say, "This person with the camera is absolutely right. Those are laws. He had the right to be doing exactly what he's doing. This arrest is not right. We're going to drop this, or I'm going to ask the prosecutor to drop this." And you've got a lot better chance of walking out of that court with no charges. I would not recommend that you go out there without an attorney. And keep this in mind. What I'm giving you is not legal advice. I am not a lawyer. I'm a guy with a camera that's looked this stuff up and learned from others' mistakes. And I'm going to let you know what I've gathered up from a big, wide source of people that have made these mistakes and didn't always know what they needed to know. So I want to make sure that you know what you need to know. Now, where were we? So you want to know your state and city loitering, trespassing, and pedestrian laws. Those are important because most of the time the police don't understand them. They'll be a lot different than what the police think, and they're going to be a lot different than what you think. Okay? Get all those. Make sure you've got your penal numbers with them. If you, like I said, if you put them on a notepad on a like a tablet, I'm putting mine on a tablet for everywhere in a notepad style, so I can go abstraction and it'll pop it up and it'll give me my state law and obstruction, where I can read it out to them, and it'll give me all the subsections and anything else that's pertinent to that. I can click on those and go to that, and I have it all right there with me, and I can lay out this in front of the policeman and calmly tell them. And if you're calm, they're more than likely going to listen. If you're yelling and screaming at them, if you yell and scream at anyone, they're done listening to you. You know, they think, this jerk, he's just a loud, mouthless, yeah, whatever. But if you stay calm and polite and you lay this stuff out, then you'll probably have an audience from that police officer. You know, not all policemen are ego-driven. And if you get into one that's just argumentative, threatening, and he's not going to listen to you, your best thing right then and there is to tell him, officer, I'm going to invoke my 5th and 6th Amendment right now. Or you just tell them 6th Amendment. They're not going to know what that is. They're going to say, do you mean 5th? Say, no, I mean 6th. The one where I'm not going to speak to you without an attorney present. And at that's the end of the conversation. They can no longer, whether you're under arrest or not, if they've got you detained or not detained, you do not have to answer any of their questions that you do not want to ever. Ever. And the 6th Amendment says that once you invoke silence without a lawyer, they have to stop. They have to stop. That is your right for them to stop right then and there. So, and if you've got that on film and they keep going, that's a 6th Amendment right violation, and they can lose what's called their qualified immunity. If they violate any of your rights, some places are harder. Where I'm at, I fall under the 7th Circuit Court of Appeals, which is the Supreme Court. And if you've got proof that the police violated your rights, they will roll back that qualified immunity on that policeman in a heartbeat. So, you know, if I sit there and I calmly tell that policeman I'm invoking my 6th Amendment right, and he keeps questioning me, I've got that on film, and I take that into court, he's toast. Now, you may have to go all the way up to the Supreme Court, because a lot of these local courts, they're part of like a good old boy network, so you'll want to keep going up. I mean, you might get it finished at the state Supreme Court level, and you may not. You may have to go all the way up to your Supreme Court. And depending on where you're at, you know, you're going to do better with a lawyer. Like I said, I am not a lawyer. I'm not giving you legal advice. I'm telling you right now how to act, what to do, but get a lawyer. Get that lawyer. He or she knows the law. They know the procedures of the court. And you show them what you've got on film. And they're probably going to FOIA any body cams or dash cams from the police. And FOIA is FOIA, Freedom of Information Act. And you have a right, if you're going to court against them, you have a right. Well, you can FOIA anything that you're involved in. You can FOIA, like if you saw a video where I got arrested and you want to see their dash cams, you can FOIA that. You don't even have to be in the same city or town. Freedom of Information Act guarantees that you can see anything like that unless it's part of a police investigation that's ongoing. You may not get it then, but if it's not and you want to see it, you can send in a FOIA form or do it online sometimes and get copies of their dash cams or their body cams, or if they've got both, you can get copies of both. So that's something that you probably ought to look up that I may not cover later, but look up FOIA. It's very important. FOIA. And if a policeman, I'll tell you this, if a policeman pulls out his personal cell phone and he's acting in an official capacity and he starts filming you or taking your pictures, you can FOIA that. And you make sure you let him know, don't erase anything off that phone because I'm going up to the police station right now and I'm going to FOIA that. You'll have to turn it in. And guess what you get to do on his phone? They'll download everything. You get to see every single thing on that man's phone. It doesn't matter that it's personal because he used his personal phone in the line of duty. So you get a look at all that. Let's hope he didn't have anything bad on that evil camera. And here's something else. They're not allowed to go into your phone. They don't have that right to FOIA your phone. They can't take your phone unless they seen you or they know for some reason somehow that you have used that phone or that camera or any of that equipment in a criminal act. That is the only way they have a right to do that. Especially if you're a photojournalist. You know, if you're using your phones and your cameras in such a way where you're getting things of interest out to the public, you are, by Supreme Court rules, a photojournalist. If it's of public interest and you're putting it out there, you are a photojournalist. You do not have to have a press pass. There's no one that legally gives out press passes. So, you know, if they say, well, let me see your press pass, ask them, well, do you know who issues press passes? Are you authorized to look at my press pass? Because I got mine directly from the Supreme Court. Are you authorized to look at that? If you're not, I can't show it to you. And let me see your authorization to look at my press pass. And they'll be like, what? Because they don't know. They don't know these things, you know. They didn't get that in their 2 months of training, maybe 3, 2.5, 3 months. You know, they don't get that sort of training. You know, they don't really get a lot of your rights. They get your basic stuff. I mean, they'll only touch on things like Terry v. Ohio, and that's big. That's huge. And that's something that they really need to know. So, well, I've set myself astray, so let's go up to state right to ID laws. It's very important. There are no states in the U.S. that have a right to ID law. Some are kind of close. But there are always, on all of them, there's always something that's needed. And I'll get into this in a later video more, but it's called reasonable articulable suspicion. They have to have they have to have a decent where they decently expected that you just committed a crime, maybe some sort of proof would be real helpful to them. They had to have seen you committing a crime, or know you committed a crime, or see you committing a crime, or somehow know that you're about to commit a crime before they have the right to ID you. If you're just walking down the street taking pictures, they cannot ask. They can ask for your ID, and you can say, "Officer, I have the right to politely refuse that, and I'm going to use that right." Don't ever give up any right, ever. It's very important, you know. So something else is going on in that neighborhood. Now you give them your ID. Guess who's a suspect? Oh, well, he was in the neighborhood. He was taking pictures. And then this place got robbed. We got his name and his ID. And you know damn well that you weren't the one doing it. I was just out there taking pictures. Don't fold your rights. Ever, ever, ever. It will never do you good. Okay, you need to look up your state's definitions, and these are real important also. Exigent circumstances and reasonable suspicion. You also need to look up the state laws for interference and obstruction and intimidation. Then you need to look up your easement laws. Now, easement is an area off the road especially if there's no sidewalk. And a lot of times the easement will go to, if you'll see utility poles or fire hydrants or street signs, that then you'll figure the easement will be between the road and those. There's three kinds of easements. You need to look these up, and you need to understand them. So I'm not going to tell you what they are, but you look up your easement laws in your state, and it will give them to you. Okay? Because it's very important. Some easements are not so much open to the public. Sometimes they'll just give you a measurement. You get so many feet from the side of the road over. And if you're going to be in a place like that, you want to look up geomaps. I think that's what's called geomaps, and it will show you where property lines are. But you still want to know those easement laws in your state. The last thing that I'm going to cover is you want to look at curtilage. Now, I've seen this not firsthand. I've seen videos of this where something's going on in a neighborhood. Guy walks out. He's got a camera. Got his camera or his camcorder, and he's out there, and the police are just like next door, and he's filming, and they're telling him go back in your house. You don't have to. You're not a criminal. They don't have command over you because you have not committed any criminal acts. They are not allowed to criminalize filming in public or filming. That's covered under the First Amendment. They are not allowed to criminalize that act. Filming in itself is not even allowed to be considered suspicious. So that's a Supreme Court ruling. So you want to know curtilage because that is your property rights. You know, that is where the police are allowed to come without a warrant. You know, and so if they start coming up on your property and you know your curtilage laws, then if they're violating those, you can say, you know, you're violating the curtilage law here. And if they don't know what it is, it's my right. You say, it's my right to tell you, you can't be here. You're violating a law that says I can tell you that you, even as a police officer, cannot be here on my property. It doesn't cover everything on your property. And some states are different. So you want to know your state's curtilage laws. It's CURTILAGE. Now, this is the end of this. And if you have any questions, leave them in the comments. In my next videos, I will be doing federal laws, federal acts, and things that you need to know are your rights, and what the police can and cannot. Some of them I've touched on a little bit here, but I'll go into detail on these laws and your rights as with these videos. Some I might be able to double up on them. I don't want to make these videos too long. I've really passed my goal by about 5 minutes. I want to keep most of these videos down to 20 minutes if I can. Some of them will go on because they're pretty involved, and I want you guys to understand these things. And if there's anything that you don't believe, for me, look it up. But if you're running into trouble, I can't express this enough. Film it. Stay calm. Get a lawyer. If you feel like they violated your rights in any way, get a lawyer. Take them to court. File a complaint. Go down. First thing, go down and file a complaint. Don't let them have your camera. Don't let them have your memory card. They don't have the right to just take those. And you'll learn in other videos, they don't even have a right to court order them unless you've used them in a crime, committing a crime, and they can prove it. The most they can do is, as a photojournalist, which you're out getting things of public interest, that's what you are. The most they can do is actually just subpoena it, where you get to go into court and you get to say, nope, that's not right. That's not how it was. That's not how it is. These are mine. I didn't use them in a crime. He doesn't have the right to do that. And this covers it. And I'll tell you what covers it. And I'll tell you what it says. And you can, I want you to put everything that I tell you, I want you to look them up. I want you to put them in your notebook so you'll have them. And now, if you are printing these out and putting them in the notebook, it's going to be big. It will be big. But if you can get them on like a handheld tablet, you got one that you're not using, and you can erase almost everything off of it and put it in there, and have it laid out in order, or whatever order you want. But have an index there where you can press on it and take you to these various things, then you'll be miles ahead. You want to keep these things all close by. So, well, that's all I've got for this video, and I hope you heed my advice and you look these things up. And everything that I tell you in these videos, there's no one thing less important than anything else. But remember, this is not legal advice. I am not a lawyer. This is just advice from one guy with a camera to another guy with a camera of things that you should know and maybe how to act. And I'm sure if a lawyer's seen this, they'd probably pretty much agree with me on this stuff, that this is things that you should know. That, yes, he's right. This is how you should act. So, well, you guys all have a good day, and just remember, you don't have any rights if you don't know your rights. Why ain't it shut off? Oh, I know. Because I'm a dork.